Let's meet someone who turned a career-ending crash into a catalyst for change. I'm Kate Save. The Inspired CEO starts now. Welcome to The Inspired CEO, where each episode we explore the innovative wellness practices that are driving success and longevity in the modern business world. In this episode, we speak with Steph Prem, Australian Olympian, wellness entrepreneur, and founder of Studio PP. After representing Australia in snowboard cross at the 2010 Vancouver Winter Olympics, Steph's life took a dramatic change following a devastating spinal injury. Her recovery journey led her to create one of Melbourne's most holistic wellness clubs, frequented by high-profile business leaders and celebrity clientele. And she's become a passionate advocate for movement, mindset, and resilience. Today, she's a mum to her daughter, Neve. Steph stresses how important it is to continue to redefine her success through balance and health. Welcome, Steph.
Thank you so much for having me. It's awesome to be here.
What a life journey you've had. Not many people have experienced the ups and downs, and you started with the really hard stuff. Like, people usually work their way up to that, but you got into that early.
I guess it's true. I recently celebrated my 40th birthday, and it did make me think about a lot of what I have, I guess, been through, worked through or achieved, I guess, up until this point. So it's been exciting.
Yeah, exciting to say the least. Wow. And so starting off, I saw, which I didn't know, we've been friends for a long time, you studied drama and arts at uni, is that right?
Once upon a time,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
I left uni to pursue my Olympic dream at the time. So I was, I guess, struggling with that balance of what I wanted to do when you leave school, because I don't think any of us really know. And the Olympics was always, it's in reach, but it's still a really long shot. And when you're young, I just, it was important for my family to stay in school or to go to university and do all those things. But once I sort of got to uni, I realised my heart was in sport. And I actually got through to a last round of auditions for a big drama school in Australia. It's called NIDA.
Wow.
I remember getting there, and they always say to you that you won't get there when you're really young. So for me, I just didn't take it that seriously. I did a bunch of auditions and I got to the last round, and I remember like the director coming forward, or the owner of the school coming forward and just being like, "How old are you?" And I was like 18, fresh out of school, maybe 17 still. And he was like, "How good are you really at sport? Like it says here on your thing that, when you're not doing acting and drama in school, you're pursuing a sport." I was like, "Oh, I'm pretty good." And he's like, "I want you to stand up here in front of everyone in the room today and tell them how good you are. But how good are you?" And I just remember thinking it was the most odd experience. But it sort of taught me to go, I guess I'm pretty good. And he's like, "Well, it says here you're number one in Australia and you've got a world ranking." And I was like, "Yep, that's right." And he's like, "So I want you to stand here and tell everyone, this is now your audition piece. Get up and tell us." It was so odd, right? Anyway, he made me go through this whole experience in front of this room full of strangers whilst everyone else is doing Shakespeare and love pieces. And at the end of it, he said, "Well, you're not getting any younger, and acting is something you can always return to, and drama is something you can always return to. So I encourage you to go and be the best you can be in sport and come and see us later in life." It was this wild sort of
reverse interview.
Yeah. And I didn't return to the drama, but I work in high performance. So I think performance is still a big part of what I do. And so is sport, right? You are performing on the world stage, but it was this real sort of pivotal moment for me to go, okay, you're only young once and my body's only got so much in it. I'll go all in.
And if the story ended there and you went to the Olympics, that'd be beautiful. But tell us a little bit more about that story for people who don't know.
Well, it's, as I said, I was really young. So I actually then trained. I sort of did half of 1 foot in, half 1 foot out, which I think is a lesson in life that doesn't always work. You got to really dive in. And I was sort of trying to study, trying to work, trying to qualify for all these World Cup events and sporting events. And I didn't make it. So I missed qualifying for the 2006 Winter Olympics. And, everyone was like, it was wonderful. My family was like, it was great to be a part of. We were so proud of you. You did so well. Back to school, back to uni you go. And for me, again, it went the other way. So I was like, okay, it's all or nothing. And I was about 20. So I went to the Olympics at 24, I think. So yeah, I must have been about 20. And I decided to dedicate the next 4 years of my life to making it, to qualifying for the next Olympics. So that's when I pulled the pin on studying at the time, and really I moved overseas, and I really put my head down, butt up, and committed the next 4 years to qualifying for the 2010 Winter Olympics.
And so tell us your experience about the Winter Olympics.
Well, I think I always say, I think the qualifying journey is more nerve-wracking than the actual Olympics itself.
Yeah.
Because it's a 4-year journey, and you are competing that entire time. But it is it's the highest mark for an athlete, really, to get to the Olympics. And as much as all the other events count, and they matter because you are qualifying, the points count, every result matters, especially coming from Australia. No one else knows about those.
And you've done world championships and all these things that if you're not in the sport, people don't know. It's not just one event.
Correct. And it is just one day, which is so sad for an Olympian. Yeah. But, there's World Cups, there's qualifying events. Like you said, there's World Championships every few years. There's a full Europa Cup circuit. There's a full Canadian and American circuit.
Yes.
So for us, it's just that 4-year gap. So once I qualified, it was such a wave of emotion because you've worked so hard and you've sacrificed so much at that point, and you feel like you have so much to prove. Not that it's about anyone else but yourself. I mean, I was an individual athlete, but there are so many people that put themselves around you to help you get there. Yeah. So once you qualify, it's pretty special. I still have the letter framed on my wall that said I qualified, that I made it, because you don't know until 2 weeks before the games. So you work 4 years of your life, and you understand sort of where you're seated and where you're qualifying and where your world ranking is at the time, of course.
But that letter is
the confirmation.
Whoa.
And you still need to, there's only there's quotas, right? So from every country, for males and females, for different disciplines, for different sports. So you still have to meet so many more requirements other than just your world ranking. So it's very nerve-wracking. But the Olympics itself was everything and more I could have imagined, but I didn't get the result I wanted.
Yeah.
So, it's difficult when I came in, I was ranked top 15 in the world at the time. I was sort of sitting at that sort of, my best result was an 11th, 12th. I really wanted to break that top 10 in the world. Mm-hmm. And I did the sport snowboard cross. For those who don't know it, it's that crazy and wild event where it's like an obstacle course on snow, bumps, jumps, turns, berms, 4 people at a time, absolutely mental. And anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
So you want to be seated well, you want to be in amongst it, which I knew I was, and anything can happen on the day. But I wasn't going in, which some people think is negative, but I wasn't going in thinking I'm going to win, but I was going in going, I want to be in the top 10, and then I know anything can happen.
Yeah.
And I was in 11th after my first run, and then I had a horrific crash on my second run, which actually landed in the top 10 highlights of crashes of the entire Olympics.
Oh, top 10.
So, be really specific when you're asking for what you want, guys.
Oh, wow.
When you're calling in that result, when you're manifesting that result. So I still got my top 10, but it wasn't quite where I wanted it to be.
You broke ribs?
I did. I broke quite a few ribs. Yeah. I did some very dramatic cartwheels.
Yeah.
And it looked like on the footage, they think I'd broken my arm, but it was really, I was so winded and concussed that that's what that was. And I had broken a few ribs. So, I think it was still the most amazing experience of my life. I've obviously done a lot of therapy around my result now. But I was still, one of the top female athletes in the world at the time, and I'm very at peace with that now. But it was tough to deal with on the day. at the time.
And 4 years of your life that is just dedicated to this.
And it's the one event that most people watch, right? Like people don't see that you're number one in Australia for 5-6 years running. People don't see that you've won the European Championships or the Canadian Championships and all the other things that I've
And you're climbing the ladder that entire time.
Totally, to get to that moment.
Yeah.
So it's really only your inner circle that understand really where you're seated and how you're placed and what you're trying to do. And then I think, it's probably part of that Australian culture too is like, oh, you didn't win? Oh, you didn't get a podium? And that's really hard to deal with as an athlete at the time. Now, like I said, I'm very at peace with it. But when you're in it and that is your life and that is your world, that was hard to take peace with.
Yeah. And so did you step out of it then, or what happened?
No, I was still, so the Olympics sort of sits in the middle of the season.
Okay.
So we still have the rest of the season to go. So it was definitely advised that I would step aside at the time.
Like you're injured.
Take some time off.
Yep.
It's been a huge 4 years. My coach was like, I think you should sit the rest of the season out.
Yeah.
A few people around me were in two minds. Physically, I was definitely burnt out and tired and run down.
Relentless.
Mentally, I felt I had so much to prove though, mainly to myself. But of course, I just didn't get the result I wanted and we still had World Cup finals. So for me, I was like, I'm going in hot to World Cup finals. I'll take a few weeks off. I'll rest the ribs, do the recovery work. And if I'm feeling okay, I want to come back for World Cup finals. But unfortunately, I had a horrific accident at World Cup finals and it ended up being a career-ending accident that was the end of all of it, really, which I didn't expect. But it's a big lesson in pushing when you know you're probably at your limit. And I probably knew on the day, and it was a really treacherous course, and a lot of the female athletes and male athletes were struggling because we compete on the same course to make this last jump, and it was a really treacherous jump. So a lot of us hadn't even hit the jump in training. We were waiting till race day to do it, and you had to hit this jump to make the finish line. It was the jump before the finish line. So as Murphy would have it, Murphy's Law, it was the last jump of the last race of the season that ended up being my last race of all time. So yeah, I essentially broke my back and I just couldn't come back from it.
And talk about being all in, like the fact that you hadn't even done this and you went for it. Like there are not many people on the planet that go all in as hard as you went in. Not just the Olympics, you've broken ribs and then you've gone it all in again till that,
to the last moment. I know, but I think extreme sports athletes are a different breed.
Yeah.
And we're missing something that makes us think through that rationale in those moments.
It's definitely not
sometimes
about money either, which is fascinating because most people, if they go all in, it's all in because it's wealth. So it's chasing something material. But this is not about that.
Yeah, completely unrelated. It's all about your own performance.
Yeah.
It really is. You've worked so hard. It's for something you love, you're so passionate about.
Yeah.
I think extreme sports athletes and action sports heroes, that I would call them, are just chasing something outside of themselves sometimes. But in saying that, there is a lot of consideration to a point, and we are training on these big features. We are building ourselves up. We've hit 60, 70 foot kickers and jumps before. We've gone at speeds of 70 and 80 kilometres an hour on a course before. So we're not coming in completely blind, but we do like to ride the course before we have to race on it, of course, for safety. But sometimes it doesn't happen. The same thing happened at the Olympics. The weather was treacherous and they closed the course the day before. So a lot of us were coming in blind, working really hard on visualization, working hard on the few features that we had hit and piecing it all together. And that's really tough as an athlete. But yes, there's risk, but we, like I said, we do a lot of training in order to manage that risk on the day, but things do go wrong. And I had a long career where it unfortunately ended badly, but I feel like I kept my body in really good shape up until that horrendous accident.
Yeah, unbelievable. And I guess though, your learnings from that, given that this is all mental, like what happened is all mental. You had the physical trauma that your body recovered from. You went on to teach Pilates and have Studio PP. But greater than the physical learnings, all of that work and everything that the coaching that you had and now the coach that you are, those insights that you can share with other people are so valuable and unique to just you.
Thank you. I think it's certainly transferable, a lot of the skills, I think, from sport into life. And that's a big part of what I do now and what I love and what I learned. It took me a long time to get back there myself after leaving sport and realising that so much of what I had learned is so is able to be applied into your everyday life. So physically, of course, the accident was the hardest thing I ever had to go through physically. Mentally, I think sport taught me that mindset is everything. And without it, you really can't achieve much. You know, anything from being an Olympic start gate to, turning up to a big presentation for work or, managing a toddler into the bath. If you're in a shit headspace, your mindset is not in the right place, you really can't have great output in life. So I think it starts with that. I understand that the physical is important, but there's only so much that you can do. And especially when you're managing injuries and managing other things, like no one else knows that on the day, right? So mentally you have to be in your best, on your best game to be able to perform. And I think that's applicable to all areas of life.
And I think I look at your journey and how successful you were with Studio PP as well. And like anyone during COVID and businesses in Victoria, there was disruption beyond disruption. How did what you went through those sort of prepare you to deal with the business sort of tragedies that occurred?
It's a great word. I think what did you say? Sorry. Destruction.
Yeah.
Great word. Because I think, to answer your question, I think what prepared me was being able to start again.
Yeah.
So, at 24, I had this horrific accident and I was forced to leave sport. And I think I had a huge identity crisis, which is super common in sport, and a lot of athletes deal with it. And I work with a lot of my clients who have dealt with that, not just as athletes, but as professionals, and especially through COVID, with corporate teams and individuals as well. There was a huge shift and change. And I think because I'd been through that kind of disruption really early or in my mid-20s to understand that I could start again.
Rebuild
from anywhere.
Yeah, it's not just a little pivot for you. It was everything.
Yeah, so I mean Studio PP, my business, grew out of that want and need to still have a place to perform. So it was about giving the everyday person a space, a holistic space where they could be the most premium version of themselves and perform at their best. And it wasn't just about aesthetics and wasn't just about the physical movement. It was about everything else. So that sort of came out of that. And then when lockdown hit, especially Victoria, it really made me think about what was important and what was important to me, both in business and in life. And I'm a huge advocate for balance. It's a big part of the work that I do now with, my corporate clients, with my individual clients, whether I'm speaking or coaching, is our ability to be able to balance in many parts of our life, which I know you and I have spoken about before, and we've all got the struggle and the juggle.
Yes.
So for me, it was being able to, I guess, hit that switch again of being like, it's okay, you can start again. And the businesses weren't failing. Lockdown had just hit.
Yeah.
And I had a great business mentor at the time that sort of said to me, do you want to start again?
Yeah.
And I guess it's probably the entrepreneur in me, or maybe it's the old extreme athlete or extreme personality in me that's not scared of that.
Yeah.
But it was not wanting to start again in my own business that already existed.
Yes.
I'd spent 7-8 years building Studio PP. I'd opened 3 bricks and mortar studios. I wanted to get to 5. I'd hired the staff. I'd put all the systems in place. We had a corporate studio. We had a beachside studio. We had a city studio. And we were so ready to grow, and lockdown affected that. We were closed for 258 days.
Unbelievable.
And gyms had to be spaced and measured, and we couldn't have people through the door on and off.
And now we know that health was the most important thing.
Part.
Yet we shut down the health part. Yeah.
Don't even get me started. So, for me, when my mentor sort of said to me, are you sort of willing to start again? It kind of sparked that thing inside of me being like, I don't want to go back to do, it's hard to build a business, but it's exciting.
Yeah.
But I did not want to go back to working as hard as I was
7 or 8 years
7, 8 years in.
Yeah.
To start again.
That's
so
right.
I decided to shut the doors of all the bricks and mortar businesses and redefine what holistic health looked like in many other aspects of life, and how I could still deliver that message and be part of people's health and performance journey. But also that shift to, I guess, mindset, because I found in lockdown all of my clients were struggling so much more mentally.
Yes.
Than they were physically, like getting them on the mat and doing physical stuff, or training people online, or, getting my team behind an online studio. That was all part of it, but that wasn't the answer.
No, that's
so
right.
I guess something I'm really proud of is I did it. I shut them all down. I stuck to my guns, even though everyone was like, just wait, things could change, this could that. But I was like, no, I'm going to stick to my decision. I'm going to make a decision, right? We have to make really hard decisions and stick to them.
Yes.
And I did that, and it took time, and lockdown took a long time. And I was shifting in my own personal life too. And I know that was a business specific question, but I will openly share, because I think so many parts of our life are blended, right?
Yes.
And especially as business owners, like, we're real people and we have real lives. I've been going through so much in my own life as well, behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So for me, I was sort of starting again as well, like in my relationship. I was like divorced. I was starting my life again anyway. So I was like, for me, it was kind of like,
out with the old,
out with the old, in the new. Like, what will be, will be. Like, clean slate, let's go.
Yes.
And I'm probably a bit of a sicko like that. But I was like, all right, how can this look different? What else can I do? And there was so much more that I wanted to do, like my podcast and my coaching business. And I love the speaking work, and having the other 3 businesses didn't give me the capacity to do all of that to the degree.
Things that fill your cup. You had to manage people.
Totally. I had to lessen that cup. Correct. And you focused on your staff and your P&L and growing businesses and bringing new staff in and doing all of that. So it gave me a really good reason to go, this has been an amazing chapter, and I'm so proud of what we did, and I'm closing the doors on a high note. And what else is out there for me?
Now, I'm stepping back to when you said wrangling the toddler into the bath. So I know after your career-ending accident, you were told that you may not be able to have children.
Kids.
Yeah.
Correct.
And you've gone through this divorce, you've shut down your businesses, and here we are at 40 and you have needs.
And I fell pregnant at 39 with it not being a huge part of the plan.
Yeah,
So,
amazing.
The universe works in mysterious ways. I didn't think it was part of my plan. So it's come as the most humbling and heart-opening and like epic experience, but certainly not something I planned for.
Well, the gift for you that you deserved, that's been waiting this whole time.
And you know what? It came with its own sort of circle of, I guess, healing and understanding and growth in self, because I think a big part of myself didn't trust my body after the accident, because I was told I was not capable of doing certain things like having children, or that it would be difficult or impossible to do so, or that it would be very, very hard or impossible, or bed rest, or pelvis difficulty, or spinal difficulty, all these things that just didn't exist for me in the end. It took a lot of work and it was still really difficult and physically tough, but we got there, and Neve's awesome. She's my one-year-old crazy toddler now. And life shifts, but it's new lessons. And
what are some of the things that perhaps before you had her that you see differently now? Is there any real kind of shift in perspective on maybe what's important in life, or the way that you may frame your coaching or mindset? Or
Absolutely. I think there's been a huge transition because, and I think for all women, there has to be.
Even menopause, perimenopause, that does it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think when I was athlete Steph or even business Steph, it was very performance driven.
Yes.
So it was all about performance. It was all about output. It was all about results. And that's what it had to be in that phase of life. So I think what lockdown taught a lot of us, and probably taught me a lot at the time, was a lot more about balance, or the balance that I was seeking was available. It just took sacrificing a few things. I think there's a very similar line up with motherhood, is that presence is really important to me, and my presence with Neve, and as a mum, especially in these sort of formative years, and that, you can start again and the business is still there and I'm still pursuing creative projects and I'm still just as ambitious, and the driving force in me hasn't gone anywhere.
No.
But she's super at peace with just where we're at now.
Yeah.
And I think if I had have had Neve or a baby 10 years ago, I wouldn't have had that. I genuinely don't think I would have been as at peace with it.
Yeah, and I love that your podcast is called Mindful Mess.
Mess.
And I'm like,
emphasis on the mess.
I feel like once you have a child, you are more mindful, but things are just not as packaged up and neat and planned anymore.
I know. You are just so much more okay with the mess and the chaos, right? It's like mindful mess is really just a fun play on the calm and the chaos, and how we function and manage and operate within all of that, right? Whether it be motherhood, life, business, whatever part of our life we're looking at. So, we learn the hard way, right?
Yes. And your most exciting thing coming up with the Winter Olympics, tell us about that.
Look, I may be biased, but I think it's the most exciting time of the year. Every 4 years, obviously the Winter Olympics come back around and my spark reignites. And I've just joined the Channel 9 team for the upcoming broadcast, which is super exciting. And I will be one of their expert commentators for some of the snowboarding events. So I'm really excited to be part of that with an epic team, and just give a voice, I guess, back to the athletes and to the sport, which I think is so important. So I'm really excited for that.
Is Neve travelling with you?
She will be travelling.
Ooh, it's a big trip.
And we will manage, like you said, the mess and the chaos of all of it. And
she's a snow baby.
She's a snow baby. Neve actually means snow in Italian.
Amazing.
So she's my little snow angel, and she's coming along for the ride. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I've still got a few months, but please tune in February.
Yes, can't wait to watch you. Now, if people want to have you as a speaker, do some coaching with you, how do they get in contact?
The way of the world that it is these days, Instagram at Steffi Prem, or my website, steffprem.com.au is probably the best way to get in touch, and we can go from there.
And your podcast?
Of course, Mindful Mess with Steph. You can find it on Spotify, on Apple, or wherever you listen to any of your podcasts.
Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is The Inspired CEO, and we'll be right back.